Hello everyone, I'm Lord Gong here, and welcome to another news video, another Dev Diary breakdown, I suppose. This week we have another Dev Diary for the console edition, the upcoming 2.2 expansion, which has been announced to be happening in 2 weeks, May 12th, if I remember correctly. This is great news. Along with the launch of Synthetic Dawn, our robot pops will finally be able to make robot empires. When Synthetic Dawn and 2.2 inevitably come out, I should be getting a series for that started as well. Look out for that when that happens. But for right now, we're going to be starting on our breakdown of the current Dev Diary, titled, well, it's the same title as last week, Everything Pops and Planets Part 2. Though, really focusing on the pops this time, as we are really going into the heavy details of 2.2's economic systems as it is. Starting out, we have pop jobs, the two types of pop jobs, and fair warning, I am more reading from the Dev Diary than usual, as this is a very big Dev Diary. This is a lot of information, and I don't want to be rambling or messing something up this week. I'd much rather read off the Dev Diary for you guys so you can coherently hear everything and get as much information as you can. As usual, screenshots from the Dev Diary should be popping up throughout the video. Look out for them. Pause during the video. Read them if you'd like. But continuing on, pop jobs. Right now in the current version of Stellaris, you have a pop, you have a job. Boom, boom. See that right there? Pop's doing jobs. That's it. Pop's collecting resources. Pop's doing science work. Pop's managing shield. That's what we're doing here. That's it. And if I had slaves in this playthrough, I'd show you the slaves doing their jobs. But we have some very, very unhappy pops. But that's beside the point. As you can see right here, you got all messes of pops doing all messes of jobs. Some providing only unity and base benefits for the Empire. Some doing all sorts of jobs collecting resources. But in 2.2, there will be two types of jobs. Jobs provided by buildings and districts. Those jobs will be capped, meaning that only a certain number of people will be working them, meaning they'll be providing certain numbers of resources. If people do not have available jobs to work, they'll become unemployed, but we'll go over unemployment later throughout the video. And the next is uncapped jobs. These are given to certain types of pops within your empire, depending based on what species they are or citizens' rights. A good example they have listed right here is if you're a devouring swarm and you list a certain type of pop as food, that pop will be working as a livestock job. That's a brand new job that pops up just because you have that pop listed as livestock. Let me go to a very little new planet here. Right here. On this new planet I have, say if I built this mine right here. I built that mine, the mine finishes, but there's no one sitting on the mine to work the mine. Well, that doesn't happen in 2.2 anymore. Once you finish a district and the job's open, if pops are available, the pops will auto-move and start auto-working the jobs. As long as the jobs fall into their strata, or are an above strata. Now, strata we'll get into a bit later, because strata are kind of complicated if you don't understand or don't know this kind of stuff already beforehand. But just, we'll keep going, okay? Once again, I'm sorry about this. I'm trying to keep myself by the Dev Diary here, but I'm also trying to be myself a bit more. It's hard to mix the two sometimes. Yes, obviously, certain jobs will provide certain benefits. Some jobs will provide straight resources like food, energy, and minerals. Others will provide science. And then other jobs, of course, will provide things like luxury goods, consumer goods, trade value. And some others can be used to reduce crime. And even other jobs like crystal miners, they have that as an example right here, can use rare deposits, say like Betharian stone on the planets that we currently have. Well, individual buildings can be built to extract that resource, and individual pops would be used to work those jobs. I just make that absolutely clear. And strata and unemployment. Now here's I'll start reading. Um, Strata, to define strata, essentially is the classes or social classes of your empire. And in Stellaris 2.2, there are three kinds of strata. We have rulers, specialists, workers. The rulers are the tippy top people of your empire. They're the ones making the decisions. They're the rulers. They're the owners. They're the wealthy elites. They're the people working in the government buildings. They're the presidents and all that sort of thing. They're the rulers have the highest impact on stability. So you want your rulers to be happy. You want your rulers well fed, lots of consumer goods available to them with lots of amenities. All of those things will go into more details today because, like I said, this is a very big dev diary. Specialists. These are the people who will be doing most of the jobs. These are your educated workers. These are the people who will be refining goods, or scientific workers, people working in labs, people working in the frontier clinics. Actually, it's not called a frontier clinic in 2.2, I don't believe, but and they'll also require more consumer goods than base workers. Base workers are, and they call them unskilled labor. I say that's a little rude to say anyone's unskilled, but they're the people collecting the energy, your minerals, and your food. These are the guys who are doing the grunt work. They're the grunt workers. They're the guys who you rely on to get the big three. But anyway, they require the least amount of consumer goods, and that's about it. And of course, you'll have other people who will fall into different kinds of strata. Slaves will, for instance, be their own strata. And pops will always want a higher strata job. So, say if there is an empty building, I give a different example. I'll give a different example this time. Say right here, this lab didn't have someone working on it, and this mine did. Well, people from this mine, if they saw that this lab was empty, would move into the mine. They'll move into the lab, so they'll become lab technicians. They'll become scientists. And then the mines will be empty. Yeah, that's something really big you have to worry about in 2.2. You really have to manage how your pops move about and work, and all of that can be done manually. You can manually move your pops around. Mostly. There's some limitations on that system. I'll show them off more when I do my 2.2 playthrough, because it's very limited to try and get it across to you here on this screen when it's so much different after 2.2. Just take my word for it. If you have an empty job, say you finished a building on your brand new planet and you have some pops working in a mine or in a farm or a power plant, they'll immediately go work into that building, leaving their old jobs vacant, meaning you'll have less base resources, but then someone will be working in the advanced building. Moving on. Housing. Housing is a big thing. Housing is how many well, not how many pops you're allowed to have, because pops just keep growing. They just keep going. You'll see right here, tile size and current population have to be exactly the same. Population is dictated by tile size or planet size. Planet size no longer matters on how many pops you're allowed to have. Much like in the real world, planets can become overpopulated with more pops than what can be housed on the planet. Housing has to be built manually, and every district will provide housing, and specialty buildings will provide housing as well. And and just so you know, base housing, 1 pop per house. That's how it is. So it's funny when I go off on my own without the dev diary guiding me. Sometimes I'll just say things, then I'll go back and read through it and go like, oh, I said that, but I didn't say that. But that part's not necessary. Um, Growth and migration. This one is something I'm gonna just read straight to you because I'm not exactly. It's not something that I can honestly riff about. You got. Let me see. Under the new growth and management system in Console Edition 2.2, each planet has 5 different variables that determine its demographic direction. That list is pop growth, pop decline, immigration, and immigration. I'm mispronouncing one of those. And pop assembly. As it goes, pop growth is the base level of pop growth on a planet from natural reproduction and immigration. And only 1 pop from each species can grow at a time. Say right here on this planet, Cultural, I have 2 separate pops. I have these little Gambius, and I have the Sacarados. These 2 right here used to grow simultaneously on the planet. Say if I got rid of both of them right now, what would happen is 2 more would take their place. Well, not so in 2.2. If I got rid of 2 separate pops, only 1 would grow, then the other would grow. No more multiple pops growing at a time. Mostly. But don't worry, it's not going to only grow 1 at a time. All of them will grow. Say it'll alternate. If there are 3 pops on a planet, it'll go 1, 2, then 3. All 3 will grow in a time. Now, next is pop decline, representing the decline of a certain species on a planet. You'll see that and pop growth right next to each other on the screen. And it's usually as a result of shipping, demographics, or purging. Okay. Now, immigration and immigration. I'm mispronouncing one of those. I know it. I just feel it. Each planet has an immigration pool and an immigration push value generated by housing stability and unemployment. For example, an overcrowded planet will have a higher immigration push than immigration push. Essentially, if you have too many people on a planet, not enough housing, low amenities, high crime, people are just going to leave. People want to leave, they don't want to live here, it's terrible here. Basically, think the worst city you can think of right now in your local area. People don't want to live there, do they? No, they like staying where they are. The only reason to go there would be if there was something they needed. Is there a job there that I need? Is there food there that I need? Is there stuff there that I can't have here? Kind of mentality. And next, pop assembly. Pop assembly refers to a planet's capacity for constructing artificial, normally robot pops, and comes from certain jobs provided by specialty buildings. Each unit of pop assembly provided by jobs will contribute 1 growth towards the current assembling pop. A planet can have both growing and assembling pops at the same time, and there's no connection between the 2. They happen individually despite each other. You can take a breath there. Now, we have pop stability. If you're wondering why I'm not actually playing, I'm just sitting on this screen. I'm not really playing this playthrough anymore. I'm only using it to showcase things. Only here really to show you happiness. Here to show you, basically it's a visual aid. This is only a visual aid. There's nothing here that I'm playing anymore. So I'm sorry if you're kind of bored of watching the same screen. I do apologize for it, but I'm not going to try and keep playing right now. I do apologize. Pop stability. Planet stability, I'm so sorry. Planet stability is one of the most important factors for determining productivity. Planetary stability is influenced by many things. I've already said a lot of this. Your pop happiness, your amount of housing, your amenities, and the crime on your planet. And stability can, of course, range from 0 to 100%, with a base of 50. Above 50% in planets will receive bonuses to resource production and immigration pool, but below 50%, they'll have penalties. And below a certain threshold, unrest events such as hunger strikes and terrorist bombings may start to occur, which will also lower stability even further. So you'll really need to take a very hard line when high stability happens. We'll take a look right over here. These are some planets that I took off a empire recently. The pops really didn't like me. So what I did is I took their pops and mostly moved them off with happier, friendlier pops that liked me already. Also built a lot of armies to help keep the peace. This kind of strategy doesn't exactly work in 2.2, but I am just trying to give you examples, show you. Like I say, very, very low happiness, and that also lowers stability. So you can take it right here on unrest, right over there. Your happiness, happy pops boost it up, unhappy pops bring it down, and if there was some overall issue, they would be even more unhappy, bringing down planetary stability. Happiness. Happiness is different in 2.2, but only slightly. Okay. Each planet that contains at least one pop with free will, meaning not robots and not hive minds, has a pop approval rating. That is the average happiness of the pops modified by their political power, meaning your strata. The higher the strata, the more happiness you need to pay attention to, basically. Each pop has a political power value based on their strata and living conditions. And one of the examples they give, a ruler pop living in a stratified economy will have an immense degree of political power, and their happiness may be more important than a dozen worker pops. Basically, just what I was trying to say. Individual pop happiness is not entirely without effect, though, as the happiness of a pop determines how likely it is to adopt your governing ethics. Say, once again, these pops that I just grabbed here, they're pacifists. Well, I am not a pacifist. So, but if I could make them very happy, very pleasant, I gave them very nice conditions, well, they may switch over to a spiritualist or a militarist standing, like this one right here. Amenities. Amenities are a brand new addition to 2.2. Amenities represent the infrastructure, facilities, and jobs required to cater to the day-to-day needs of your population. I think the joke is it's your microwaves and toasters. It's all the toasters and microwaves that your pops need to keep going. And in my case, it's bad headsets. Capital buildings and ruler pops produce a small amount of amenities and may cover the needs of a small colony. However, highly urbanized planets will need to dedicate at least some of their infrastructure and population to making amenities. Now, crime is also brand new to 2.2. I don't think I really have to describe to you what crime is. But crime is a value generated by virtually all pops with free will, and can vary between 0 and 100%. Happy pops means less crime, unhappy pops means more crime. But only pops at a perfect 100% happiness produce no crime. So essentially, you have to have 100% happiness on every pop to have absolutely no crime, not accounting for outside factors. Those outside factors being effects via leadership or buildings. And there's no direct penalty for crime, but it may result in events like smuggler rings or organized crime taking root on your planets. These events and conditions are generally detrimental, but may also open up certain beneficial opportunities and decisions that would not be available to you otherwise. However, you really do not want a very high level of crime. Crime can lower your stability and also have your pops leaving their normal jobs or moving away, or also going and becoming criminals themselves. You can build special buildings that are called precinct districts. They'll basically make cops. You need lots of cops. And actually, folks, that is the entire dev diary. Oh my goodness, was that a mouthful. And like I said, I am sorry if you were expecting me to be playing through this, if you were expecting some gameplay along with me chatting. I am sorry, but like I said, this one was a bit of a mouthful, and I did have to read that off instead of riffing it. It's not, it wasn't like a normal thing that I knew 100% of. These are mostly just finite details that go off in the background. You don't really talk about strata until you have a problem with your strata. You don't really talk about crime till there's a problem with crime, and so on and so forth. And just getting that across and discussing it's very difficult with general Stellaris, and like I said, I wanted to use gameplay as more of a visual aid than anything else. So I do apologize if you were coming here to watch some gameplay and listen. But I will see you all next week, same time, unless they move the day again, because that really messed up my schedule. Thank you, Paradox team, for putting the dev diary on a Friday, not a Thursday. Really appreciate that. But regardless, I have been Lord Gong. Please follow me on Twitter at LordGong1. Do remember to like and subscribe to the video, and I will see you all next time. Thank you, and goodbye.